Hello everyone. Today we are going to read the second part of our chapter 5 When People Rebel 1857 and After. The company fights back. Unnerved by the scale of the upheaval, the company decided to repress the revolt with all its might. It brought reinforcements from England, passed new laws so that the rebels could be convicted with ease, and then moved into the storm centers of the revolt. Delhi was recaptured from the rebel forces in September 1857. The last Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar was tried in court and sentenced to life imprisonment. He and his wife Begum Zeenat Mahal were sent to prison in Rangoon in October 1858. Bahadur Shah Zafar died in the Rangoon jail in November 1862. The recapture of Delhi, however, did not mean that the rebellion died down after that. People continued to resist and battle the British. The British had to fight for 2 years to suppress the massive forces of popular rebellion. Lucknow was taken in March 1858. Rani Lakshmi Bai was defeated and killed in June 1858. A similar fate awaited Rani Avanti Bai, who, after initial victory in Khedi, chose to embrace death when surrounded by the British on all sides. Tatya Tope escaped to the jungles of central India and continued to fight a guerrilla war with the support of many tribal and peasant leaders. He was captured, tried, and killed in April 1859. Just as victories against the British had earlier encouraged rebellion, the defeat of rebel forces encouraged desertions. The British also tried their best to win back and loyalty of the people. They announced rewards for loyal landholders would be allowed to continue to enjoy traditional rights over their lands. Those who had rebelled were told that if they submitted to the British and if they had not killed any white people, they would remain safe and their rights and claims to land would not denied. Nevertheless, hundreds of sepoys, rebels, nawabs, and rajas were tried and hanged. Aftermath. The British had regained control of the country by the end of 1859, but they could not carry on ruling the land with the same policies and more. Given below are the important changes that were introduced by the British. The British Parliament passed a new Act in 1858 and transferred the powers of the East India Company to the British Crown in order to ensure a more responsible management of Indian affairs. A member of the British Cabinet was appointed Secretary of State for India and made responsible for all matters related to the governance of India. He was given a council to advise him called the India Council. The Governor General of India was given the title of Viceroy, that is, a personal representative of the Crown. Through these measures, the British government accepted direct responsibility for ruling India. All ruling chiefs of the country were assured that their territory would never be annexed in future. They were allowed to pass on their kingdoms to their heirs, including adopted sons. However, they were made to acknowledge the British Queen as their sovereign paramount. Thus, the Indian rulers were to hold their kingdoms as subordinates of the British crown. It was decided that the proportion of Indian soldiers in the army would be reduced and the number of European soldiers would be increased. It was also decided that instead of recruiting soldiers from Awadh, Bihar, Central India, and South India, more soldiers would be recruited from among the Gorkhas, Sikhs, and Pathans. The land and property of Muslims was confiscated on a large scale and they were treated with suspicion and hostility. The British believed that they were responsible for the rebellion in a big way. The British decided to respect the customary religious and social practices of the people in India. Policies were made to protect landlords and zamindars and give them security of rights over their lands. Thus, a new phase of history began after 1857. The Khurda Uprising, a case study. Much before the event of 1857, there had taken place another event of a similar nature at a place called Khurda in 1817. Here it would be instructive for us to study that event and reflect on how resentment against the colonial policies of the British had been building up since the beginning of the 19th century in different parts of the country. Khurda, a small kingdom built up in the late 16th century of the southeastern part of Odisha, was a populous and well cultivated territory consisting of 105 garhs, 60 large and 1109 small villages at the beginning of the 19th century. Its king Raja Birakishore Dev had to earlier give up the possession of 4 parganas, the superintendence of the Jagannath temple and the administration of 14 Gurjats princely estates to the Marathas under compulsion. His son and successor Mukund Dev II was greatly disturbed with this loss of fortune. Therefore, sensing an opportunity in the Anglo-Maratha conflict, he had entered into negotiations with the British to get back his lost territories and the rights over the Jagannath temple. But after the occupation of Odisha in 1803, the British showed no inclination to oblige him on either score. Consequently, in alliance with other feudatory chiefs of Odisha, the secret support of the Marathas, he tried to assert his rights by force. This led to his deposition and annexation of his territories by the British. As a matter of consolation, he was only given the rights of management of the Jagannath temple with a grant amounting to a mere 1/10 of the revenue of his former state, and his residence was fixed at Puri. This unfair settlement commenced an era of oppressive foreign rule in Odisha, which paved the way for a serious armed uprising in 1817. Soon after taking over Khurda, the British followed a policy of resuming service tenures. It bitterly affected the lives of ex-militia of the state, the Paks. The sovereignty of the measure was compounded on account of an unreasonable increase in the demand of revenue and also the oppressive ways of its collection. Consequently, there was large-scale desertion and also the oppressive ways of its collection. Consequently, there was large-scale desertion of people from Khurda between 1805 and 1817. Yet the British went for a series of short term settlements, each time increasing the demands, not recognizing either the productive capacity of the land or the paying capacity of the ryots. No leniency was shown even in case of natural calamities, which Odisha was frequently prone to. Rather, lands of defaulters were sold off to scheming revenue officials or speculators from Bengal. The hereditary military commander of the deposed king Jagbandhu Vidyadhar Mahapatra Brahmarbar Rai and Bakshi Jagbandhu, as he was popularly known as one among the disposed landholders. He had in effect become a beggar and for nearly 2 years survived on voluntary contributions from the people of Khurda before deciding to fight for their grievances as well as his own. Over the years, what had added to these grievances were the introduction of Sikka rupee silver currency in the region, the insistence of payment of revenue in the new currency, an unprecedented rise in the prices of foodstuff and salt, which had become far-fetched following the introduction of salt monopoly, because of which the traditional salt makers of Odisha were deprived of making salt, and the auction of local estates of Calcutta, which brought in absentee landlords from Bengal to Odisha. Besides, the insensitive and corrupt police system also made the situation worse for the armed uprising to take a sinister shape. The uprising was set off on 29 March 1817 as the Paks attacked the police station and other government establishments at Banpur, killing more than 100 men and took away a large amount of government money. Soon its ripples spread in different directions, with Khurda becoming its epicenter. The zamindars and ryots alike joined the Paks with enthusiasm. Those who did not were taken to task. A no rent campaign was also started. The British tried to dislodge the Paks from their entrenched position but failed. On 14 April 1817, Bakshi Jagbandhu led 5 to 10,000 Paks and men of the Kandh tribe seized Puri and declared the hesitant king Mukund Dev II as their ruler. The priest of the Jagannath temple also extended the Paks their full support. Seeing the situation going out of hand, the British claimed martial law. The king was quickly captured and sent to prison in Cuttack with his son. The Bakshi, with his close associate Krush Chandra Brahmarbar Rai, tried to cut off all communications between Cuttack and Khurda as the uprising spread to the southern and the northwestern parts of Odisha. Consequently, the British sent Major General Martindale to clear off the area from the clutches of the Paks, while at the same time announcing rewards for the arrest of Bakshi Jagbandhu and his associates. In the ensuing operation, hundreds of Paks were killed. Many fled to deep jungles and some returned home under a scheme of amnesty. Thus, by May 1817, the uprising was mostly contained. However, outside Khurda, it was sustained by Bakshi Jagbandhu with the help of supporters like the Raja of Kujung and the unflinching loyalty of the Paks until his surrender in May 1825. On their part, the British henceforth adopted a policy of leniency, indulgence, and forbearance towards the people of Khurda. The price of salt was reduced and necessary reforms were made in the police and the justice system. Revenue officials found to be corrupt were dismissed from service and the former landholders were restored to their lands. The son of the king of Khurda, Ramchandra Dev III, was allowed to move to Puri and take charge of the affairs of the Jagannath temple with a grant of rupees 24,000. In sum, it was the first such popular anti-British armed uprising in Odisha, which had far-reaching effect on the future of British administration in that part of the country. To merely call it a Pak rebellion will thus be an understatement. So here we complete the reading of our chapter 5, When People Rebel, 1857 and After. If you have any doubt or query, you can ask me in the comment section below. Also, you can find links to the first part and the other chapters in the description below. Thank you everyone.